Hey everyone, it is February the 7th, and here in Idaho, we woke up to about 8 inches of snow, which is absolutely fabulous because I do like to ski, at least once a week. Um, what have I got for you today? Well, at the moment, I am in the middle of coaching my Victory Vault program. I should probably change the name because the name of the program doesn't really give you a clue what it's about, and I still struggle to actually come up with a concise description of this program. But for you, my listeners, I wanted to share one of the lessons from the program. So the program is, it's actually, I'm looking at the program right now. It's about 16 different topics. And this is just one of them. But I was on the treadmill and I was listening to my own recordings to refresh it in my own mind today. And I thought, gosh, this one would be a great one to share with my listeners. So please enjoy. This is from my Victory Vault program. The subject is obstacles and being right now. So listen to it. I think it's a 26-minute recording, and definitely check the show notes because there's some homework in there. And the Victory Vault, as well as all my other programs, I run them live, but I only get a chance to do them once a year. But they are all available as self-paced programs. So if you enjoy this and you would like to do the Victory Vault, then you could follow the link in the show notes. It is www.yourvictoryvault.com, yourvictoryvault.com, and purchase it there. And the content is actually available to you for 365 days, which is pretty awesome. Now, ideally, if you do this program, I would suggest that you listen through everything and do the homework in 2 weeks because if you just drag it out over the year, you're out of the conversation. It just doesn't hit as hard. But I'm not your boss. Do what you want. But this is a really good program. Like I said, I haven't coached it for a year, so I was listening to my own recordings. And I said to my husband, I said, I am so highly motivated, inspired, listening to myself. It's kind of crazy. I really love this program. I'm really thrilled about it. Anyway, without further ado, please enjoy. This is lesson number 10 out of the program, obstacles and being right now. And I probably won't be coaching this program till I'm going to guess next year, but you can always purchase it and do it yourself and have contact to me by following the link in the show notes. Enjoy. Obstacles. If you're moving towards a goal or point of new achievement, you're creating a new path. That path isn't clear yet. That path is going to have obstacles on it. Some of the obstacles you can already see. Some of them are going to appear as you move along that path. The path hasn't been cleared yet. You're on that path, you get to an obstacle, you have a choice. You can turn around, you can sit next to it, or you can go through it. Too often we turn around, and that's that little scurrying around in a circle we do a lot of. Back and forwards, the same goal every year, back and forth, back, hit the obstacle, back we go. Run up again, back we go, right? Or we sit next to the obstacle, complaining about it. And the thing about obstacles is they don't go away. In fact, they just pile up. So if you don't get past that obstacle, it will probably grow and it will probably accumulate friends. So say the obstacle is a health obstacle and you don't work your way through it or past it, then another health obstacle is going to come and join it, and another and another and another. And now it's really overwhelming. Obstacles are part of the journey. Don't ever think that we're going to achieve a goal without approaching an obstacle. We can't be shocked when they appear. I mean, we're trying to clear a new path here. Now, obstacles, again, can be big or small, but knowing that they are just part of the path and with every obstacle, there lies in it an opportunity. We can then go back to thinking of hard things. We can go back to thinking of stress. We can think of things. When I asked you to imagine being the other side of these things, if you achieve your goal, what's at the other side of this? If you do a hard thing, how is that going to make you feel? If there's something you're stressful about, now you see it's a form of growth. What happens when you get through that? Same thing. When you see an obstacle, what's at the other side of it? Life is always better. Think back to a time when there was an obstacle in your life. It could have been optional or not optional. I mean, maybe it could be something personal, like divorce, bankruptcy, grief, loss of some sort, an obstacle that you didn't ask for. It was forced upon you, and you had to deal with it because there was nothing else you could do. And afterwards, life is different. Life has changed, and life can be better. Obstacles are, again, a way of growth, a form of growth. I think it was Benjamin Franklin once said, "The things which hurt instruct." How true is that? Now, many of our obstacles come from abundance. Abundance of choice, abundance of time, lack of urgency, comfort. What's the book that said there's two things that kill us, pace and comfort? It's very true. Now, when we used to live in Malibu, California, I used to see the price of comfort with people. I saw it with some clients, and I definitely saw it with some people in the community. With abundance, there was a lack of urgency for some people. And that in itself was its own obstacle, huge obstacle. And I totally relate. Much of the drive that we have in life is the need to be better, the need to progress in life, the need to achieve great things, to live a better life. But what if you're already living a fabulous life that you can never want for anything? It's always going to be fantastic. You can see the challenge. That in itself is an obstacle. How then do you find your own drive, your own urgency? I absolutely understand that obstacle and how difficult it must be. That goes back to having a purpose in life, huh? So obstacles aren't always bad things. They can come from, well, they're never a really bad thing. They can seem bad. But obstacles can also be blessings in disguise. They or disguised as blessings, I should say. So the obstacle of abundance, the obstacle of comfort, the obstacle of, us having a roof over our head, food on our table, a little bit of money in our pocket, friends that love us, family that care about us, all of these things that we don't want to take away from us, but they can in themselves bring a comfort that can in itself be a small obstacle. And that's why we have to have a drive and a purpose and a destination that we're trying to get to, that we need to get to create that urgency and to get that activation energy and maintain that activation energy. So when we feel we are up against an obstacle, it could be a time obstacle, an energy obstacle, a lack of progress obstacle. That's a big one. Like, I haven't progressed in this many weeks and I'm stuck, a plateau of some sort. How can we get around that? Knowing that the answer lies within the obstacle and the sweet spot lies beyond the obstacle. Well, it comes down to perception. Perception. So how we see and understand what is around us, and how we see and understand what is around us is what we decide those events mean. Nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. I forget who said that. Nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So the perception of the obstacle, it's based on, its impact is based on our perception of what it means. Put another way, perceptions are actually the problem. They give us information that we don't need. Perception requires objectivity. And objectivity means removing yourself from a situation, removing yourself from the equation. Imagine that the obstacle that you're up against is happening to somebody else. Remove the you from the situation. How then would you advise somebody that was challenged by this obstacle in their path on their way to their goal or point of achievement? Looking at their situation, how would you advise them? See how much easier it is when you start thinking outside of yourself? It's very easy to find solutions for friends, more so than to find solutions for ourselves. Again, it's worth writing down. If it's an obstacle that you have, write it down as if it was somebody else's obstacle, and you tell them, you write it down, how you would handle that situation. You're going to come up with some great answers, really great answers. Take the situation and pretend it's not happening to you. How much easier is it? How better would you know what to do about that situation? Perspective is everything. The power of perspective can change how obstacles appear and how we approach them. With the wrong perspective, we become consumed, overwhelmed, fearful. It can be debilitating, distracting. It can be tiring. Often we are irrational, when in fact the obstacle, if somebody else was looking at it, would think it was quite straightforward and quite small. How then do we attack this obstacle? There's a great book, and I'm going to use a quote from it, and I'm going to use an analogy from it, and it's called The One Thing. I believe it was Gary Keller wrote it. No, I'm sorry. The book was, Gary Keller did write The One Thing. The book is, The Obstacle is the Answer. I'm going to say it is. It's the same guy that wrote the Stoicism books, but great book, quick read. But he has a great way of describing an obstacle. Imagine that, straight from the book, imagine that I just pinned you down. I lay down on top of you and I pinned you down. Now, if you're a lot stronger than me, imagine I weighed 400 pounds, okay? But I am pinning you down, right? I've got you down there and I can hold you down. What would you do? Would you use some mighty, huge amount of effort to try and lift my dead weight body off your body? No, because you're going to be pretty exhausted. Even the best of you are going to be pretty exhausted to try and lift my dead weight body off your body. You are going to try and push, and you're going to be exhausted, and it's going to fail. Or would you pause for a second and think, how am I going to get this lug off my body? And maybe you shift me this way, move your shoulder out from that way, move a knee across, move me a little bit more, and bit by bit, finagle your way out from under my dead weight body. When an obstacle is upon you and it's coming down and seemingly crushing you, first of all, look at it as not your obstacle. It will all of a sudden seem easy to deal with, and it will seem smaller. Next, recognize that it's not going to be one monumental effort to get out from under that thing, because that's going to be exhausting and it's not going to work. What it's going to take is finagling, I love that word, finagling your way out from under the obstacle and out to the other side. So this is where I'm talking about doing the small things, doing the daily things, the right things. And it's about being right now. This is a big deal. Being right now. So being present and like at this very moment, what is the best I can do? Might not be the perfect thing you can do, but what is the best thing I can do right now? And then another moment goes past. What is the best thing I can do right now? Then a decision is upon you. What is the best action I can make with this decision? It's about being right now. And when we are right now and we keep that awareness with us, we move out from under the obstacle. If we just think, I'm trying to think of a good example. Say you've got a massive exam, I don't know, and you're just like, man, I'm just going to pull an all-nighter. I'm just going to study all night and I'm going to get to the other side of this. I'm going to do, maybe it'll work, maybe not the best way of doing it, or seeing the obstacle and be like, hey, I'm going to do a bit of study here, bit of study there, bit of study this, and I'm going to finagle that word again, out from under this. More strategic, less exhausting, and you will get out from under it. That sudden impulse burst rarely does it, and it just leaves us exhausted and kind of self-defeating. Say it's weight loss, like, oh, I'm going to do a 30-day challenge and I'm going to knock it out the park and I'm going to do everything right. And you do it and you finish 30 days and the obstacle's still there. Okay. Or does it serve you better to get the information you need, get the strategy, and do the right thing right now and commit to that alone? Don't be thinking of the future. Don't be thinking of how long it's going to take. Don't think about how far you've come. Don't think about, whoa, what you used to look like, how you used to be. Just do the thing right, the best you can at this moment. Don't think about anything else. And with that comes an ease. And with that always comes a progression. And with that comes that the mass is forward of center. You're moving forward without this huge amount of energy. But this is about keeping an awareness all day. And this becomes a habit. So in the homework for the week, one of the things I want you to do is at the end of the day, I want you to write 5 things that you did right. I don't care how small they are. What did you do right today? 5 things, because what this does, it keeps your mass forward of center. It keeps you leaning forward into life, which will automatically move you forward with very little effort. It will create a growth mindset. How often do we focus on what we did wrong today? What we should have done, could have done, I meant to do that, I should have done that. And what is it? They say negative energy is, 6 or 9 times stronger than positive energy? I forget what it is. But that's why if you get one negative person in a room, it can ruin the whole room. Whereas one positive person in the room, you can't tell the difference. So negative energy is definitely stronger. So it's a conscious effort to be present. And I think by writing 5 things you did correct in a day, every day, that will take literally a minute. If it takes longer than 5 minutes, come on. But as that becomes a habit, then your perception of yourself, your self-esteem, that growth mindset, that positivity just grows and grows and grows. It's a very simple exercise. And then what ends up happening with that exercise is you start doing right things during the day because you want to know you're going to be writing them down later on. Oh, wow, I did that right. I'm going to remember that and write that down tonight. Wow, I did that right. Or you're going to be up against a choice and you're like, man, I'm going to do it that way and I'll write it down tonight. Small things bring us out through obstacles. Obstacles are part of creating a new path. They are there for a reason. If say an obstacle is you get your blood work back and it's terrible, and you're like, oh, what am I going to do? The obstacle is the answer. It's literally giving you the answer. The answer is right there. Say you get a bad grade. Oh, this is so terrible. No, it's literally giving you the answer. Yeah. We can also think that we're starting in a place of deficit. We can think that we're starting off in a we can think that we're starting off at a disadvantage. We can think like, oh, I'm already 30 pounds overweight. Oh, my grades are already bad. Oh, I'm a sugar addict and I'm this. Like, oh, I'm pre-diabetic. I'm using stories that I've heard. Oh, and we can think, oh, I'm starting off at a disadvantage. Everybody's starting off at a disadvantage. That's why we're starting. Why would you have that goal if you didn't think you were starting at a disadvantage? We're all starting in a place of our perceived loss because that's why we're on the path to better ourselves, right? So this whole disadvantage thing, let me read you a little bit. And this is from the book, The Obstacle is the Answer. Let me read this to you. These are a list of businesses that were started during depressions or economic crises of our time. Fortune magazine, 90 days after the market crash of 1928. FedEx was formed during the oil crisis of 1973. UPS was formed in the panic of 1907. Disney was, after 11 months of smooth operation, the 12th was during the market crash of 1929. So the first year of business, and they were in the market crash. HP, the Great Depression of 1935. Charles Schwab, the market crash of 1974. Standard Oil. The Coors Beer was formed within the Depression of 1873. Costco was formed during the recession of the late 1970s. Revlon, the Great Depression of 1932. General Motors, the Panic of 1907. Procter & Gamble, the Panic of 1837. United Airlines, the Depression of 1929. Microsoft during that same recession of 1973. I could go on and on and on. Now, for these businesses were all started at a deficit. They all felt they were starting at a place of, they all started in a not the best place to start a business. Now, for the most part, these businesses were not aware that they were embarking during some historically significant depression. Why? Because the founders were too busy doing the right thing right now. They were too busy existing in the present and actually dealing with the situation at hand than to be worrying about, whoa, the economy is going downhill. What if it's going to go down for 5 years, 10 years? What if it's They were just dealing with their situation as it was. Half the companies in the Fortune 500 were starting during a bear market or recession. Half. So when we think we're starting at a disadvantage, think about this. Some of the most successful companies that we've ever, family names, we all know them, they were started in a place of huge disadvantage. Mostly they weren't even aware of it because they were too busy doing right now. Those who survive because they take things day by day. And that really is the secret to success, guys. It's about having that goal. It's about breaking it down into numerical steps, like numbers that you have to hit on a monthly basis, weekly basis, and daily tasks. Focusing on this absolute moment and just doing the best thing you can at this moment will shift that central mass forward, and it will lead to effortless progression. If you just lean up against that obstacle and worry about it and complain about it and think of like what it could possibly do to you, and you're making it way bigger than it actually is. Our problem is that we're always trying to figure it out. We're always trying to figure out until the end of the story. Like, why are things the way they are? What's going to happen with this situation, instead of just living in the moment and forgetting the rest? We might have doubts, and we can definitely have self-doubts. And although they feel real, they have little bearing on what is and isn't possible. Let me repeat that. If you have doubts about your goal, if you have self-doubt about your ability, it has very little bearing on what is and isn't possible for you. Also, obstacles illuminate new options. Our best ideas come from obstacles. I mean, I get psychologists, I think they call it adversarial growth. And I would suspect you can all imagine this. I know when my business has been very quiet, I remember in 2007 where, that was a doozy, and half my business went away. And all of a sudden, I got really imaginative about how to grow it. When I left my entire business in California and moved to Idaho and had to start afresh, I had no income. I had to get real imaginative, and I was very imaginative about what I was going to create. So our best ideas come from what we perceive as bad, an obstacle, but the answers are right there. The problems are rarely as bad as we think, or rather, they are precisely as bad as we think. People turn dirt into dollars all the time because they didn't see the dirt. They didn't wallow in the dirt. But those people, they didn't quit. They didn't feel sorry for themselves. They didn't delude themselves with fantasies about easier solutions and how this was too difficult and it should be easier and this obstacle is too big and this is too hard. They just committed themselves and did what was right now. They didn't have to worry about the master plan and every detail that was in place. They had a plan and they just did the right thing right now. Now, no doubt, life can be frustrating, but often we know what our problems are. We may even know what to do about them, but we fear that taking action is too risky, or that we don't have the experience, or that it's not how we pictured things would be, or it's too expensive, or it's too soon, or it's something better might come along, or it might just not work. And you know what happens with all those thoughts? Absolutely nothing. We do absolutely nothing. It's like action paralysis. If that sounds like you, that time has passed. There is an urgency now. We get moving. It's not as big as you think. It's not as overwhelming as you think. You just have to be right now. Because otherwise, nothing happened. The obstacle's still there. It's bigger. It's got some friends. And we're shocked. We're shocked that we're in the same place. In fact, now we're not even in the same place because now the obstacles are greater. The thing standing in our way isn't going anywhere. Once you start attacking that obstacle, realizing that it's actually an answer in disguise, then quitting is not an option. But not quitting doesn't mean it's exhausting. It's about finagling your way bit by bit by bit out from under this perception of an obstacle.